that the first, almost 30 minutes of it was on delay. They were trying to figure it out. Well, did this impact the brand that is Twitter? How will Twitter recover from this if they have not already? Let's talk about this even further with Ian Baer, and he is a marketing expert, and he joins us now. Ian, thanks so much for being with us. You followed this very closely this week. Now, the DeSantis camp is saying, wow, look how many people joined. That's indicative of the popularity he has as a candidate. But from Twitter's perspective, from Elon Musk's perspective and the C-suite, Linda Yaccarino is coming in to helm the company.
Right.
Was this a black eye for Twitter?
I don't think you can call it a black eye for Twitter. I mean, what I think it's doing is setting a tone for this election cycle. And I think the role that we're going to see social media play in this election cycle is very different from the role that's played in the last few. I mean, the last 3 presidents to get elected made really good use of social media in a broad way, and they brought their tribes out to support them. But I think social media is going to play a very different, much more evolved and fragmented role going forward. So I think it's less about specifically what happened in this event. It's certainly not about the glitch. I mean, to your point, if you were a DeSantis supporter before, you're celebrating that you crashed the servers. If you were a DeSantis detractor, you're attacking him over it. But he acknowledged appropriately social media is going to play a huge role in determining what happens in this election, I think more than it has in any other.
And that is really the point made in total, just the fact that they decided to do this, to make the announcement itself. I mean, that's,
right.
lends credence to
and
your point.
Only in social, right? Not with the big national TV spot or
right.
any of the things we're used to seeing. It sets a tone. And it's something to bear watching, especially because, again, social media is now how information gets disseminated. And the social media landscape of 2023 and 2024 looks quite different from 2019 and 2020. It is more fragmented. It is more emotionally charged. It's a different kind of battleground. And we're going to learn whether any of the current slate of candidates, the ones who've announced so far, have the sort of social media acumen it's going to take. I won't be surprised to see some very unexpected voices emerge simply because of the importance of social media in determining who's going to be our next president.
Yeah, I mean, right now, in real time, you are watching on Twitter the Trump camp and the DeSantis camp and their requisite allies on Twitter and social media.
Right.
Get really nasty in the last 48 hours, and they have not let up. And I think it's entertaining to some, but this is going to be indicative of a very, very tough primary battle. I wanted to ask you as well, is this, going back to the technical issues from the Twitter Spaces, was that going to be just a one-week story, or are people going to say, if DeSantis falls up short and he doesn't get the nomination, are they going to go back and say, well, it was doomed from the start?
Well, that's if you call this announcement the start. I mean,
Okay.
look, we've seen him go up and down in the polls, and there's a lot more story to be written here. Ultimately, again, I think you can read and comment on the glitches however you choose. I don't think it's going to affect how you feel about his candidacy or anybody else's. No, I don't think the launch on Twitter is going to be where we dwell. But again, I think the ongoing role of social media, the influence it's going to have, is far beyond what we've seen in any of the 3 previous election cycles. I think that's the tone that's being set here.
Okay. And a lot of people were kind of criticizing the DeSantis, the new DeSantis campaign of kind of being in bed with Elon Musk, with Twitter, with social media to get this out there and make this announcement. And a lot of people had to be reminded of, the last, really, like you said, 3 presidential cycles, how much those candidates relied on social media, Facebook in particular, to get their messaging out. And a lot of people are saying, will this incentivize former President Donald Trump to really get back and embrace Twitter. He has been let back on the platform. He has obviously his own Truth Social and the posts that he keeps there. And so that'll be interesting to see whether or not he jumps back on there. So aside from Twitter, while we have you, though, I want to talk about some of these other brands, not really tech companies, but brands. And we saw a lot of backlash with Target this week. As you know, a lot of viewers, we've covered this story this week of some of these bathing suits that are for sale, that are geared toward those who identify as transgender. How do brands like Target insulate themselves from such a backlash like that? Why do they wade into these issues in the first place? Can they prevent it? Can they think ahead? Can they have foresight in saying, maybe we shouldn't wade into that, maybe we shouldn't have that product on the shelves? What's going on here?
Target, look, they have a history of being a relatively inclusive brand. They have embraced Pride Week in the past, Pride Month. I think right now, because of some of the specific supplier affiliations they've had, some of the other work, especially one supplier coming out of the UK has been associated with, it's a little bit of an extra uproar. But the reality is we're in a very fragmented society right now. And any retailer that's going to place a bet to the left or the right runs a risk. You know, we're seeing a huge uprising of companies that are either, you know, firmly woke companies, firmly anti-woke companies, providing alternatives to some of these traditional retailers. So, you know, the Jeremy's Razors of the world and these sort of niche companies that affiliate with a political ideology, I think are going to have a field day as these types of broad retail things keep happening. There is no safe bet right now, because you know what they say about standing in the middle, right? If you stand in the middle of the road, you're going to get run over. So I understand the position Target's in. It's not easy. We've seen backlash going every which way against a lot of different retailers. It's really hard, especially in the world of e-commerce, to keep track of every reseller and what they may be selling on your website. So unfortunately, the retail landscape is just full of landmines right now. And this was one.
Oh, my point was, you know, I was wondering if these brands will think twice just because of the hit that the stock price is taking. But to your point, there are so many alternatives out there for people who do not want to, you know, be associated with this, for people who want to be associated with this. And of course, we are just a couple of days away from the start of Pride Month, so it is geared toward a specific time of the year as well.
Well, and people want to buy brands that that share their values. That, you know, our research has shown that a huge uptick over the last few years, where people are not as concerned as they were about product, price, promotion, right? In marketing, we always said the 3 Ps drive everything. Not anymore, folks. So much now is about shared values and people wanting to associate with companies that stand for the same things they do. And that's on the increase. So this is not going away. This is going to be a prime topic.
All right. Ian Baer, thank you as always. We appreciate great conversation there. Hope you have a good rest of your Memorial Day weekend, and we'll talk again.
Thank you so much, and happy Memorial Day, and thanks to everyone, all the people who served our country and sacrificed, and all your families.
Definitely. Thank you. Okay, hope you enjoyed that conversation, found it informative there. We want to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, though,